Welcome back to Ultimate Combat Radio. That is a far cry from AC/DC.
That is
Will.
not rock and roll.
It's mood music.
I think Will broke up with his girlfriend. We did have a texter while we were gone that said, I like your show. It's just that it seems one-sided with the Jake love. We haven't even given the other side yet. We just introduced Jake.
That must be a Bird Dog fan, huh?
That's all right. We invited Bird Dog to come on the show. It was hard communicating with him. We thought he might be here. We didn't know. We hoped he would. Maybe next week. We'll try to get him up for next week. Anyway, where are we going from here? Okay, the poll question is, what is the biggest story related to mixed martial arts this decade? And we've, I kind of weighed in on some. There's some others. And if they wanted to respond to that question, Robertina, how would they go about doing that?
They can call us at 470-570-670-1280. Get on us at Facebook@facebook.com/Ultimate Combat Radio, or text us 53318. Text in zone and
your answer.
All
right. Well, good stuff. Well, I understand we have a guy that knows a little bit about mixed martial arts on the line. Gorgeous George Garcia from MMA Junkie. Is he on the line? Do we have him there? Gorgeous George, are you there?
I'm here. How you guys doing?
We are so good I can't even stand it. How are you?
Doing all right, thank you.
Well, good stuff, man. Did you hear our poll question? We're kind of looking to see what do you feel the biggest story related to mixed martial arts of this decade is?
As soon as you guys said it, I was racking my brain. It's tough to identify just one. You said 10 years, right? The last 10 years?
Yeah, the last decade.
So, I think a big move was obviously getting sanctioned in the different states rather than running away from the commissions they ran towards them. That would be one. The purchases of the Ultimate Fighting Championship when they bought Pride Fighting Championships, and they started to bring those two all those superstar fighters under one banner. The recent one of Strikeforce, the UFC are going to be on Fox. There's really been a lot of them. It'd be hard to pinpoint one down. It's almost like when we talk about the Mount Rushmore of MMA, who do you put on it?
That's
the
a good
list is
question.
endless, and there's not really a wrong one, because any four you come up with is a good one.
That is a great question.
I
I
like
hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, we may have to pull that one up next week. But yeah, you touched on some that we actually did in the last segment was the sanctioning and so on. I think that was so huge because without that, none of the rest of the stuff really happens. Some of the things we kind of talked about in this segment, there were four things that I think recently have kind of helped the sport expand in different directions. Number one, the Tough Show obviously introduced mixed martial arts to 100 million households with cable subscribers. And then, Kimbo Slice, he came in and people that were internet freaks, if you will, they kind of found out what MMA was, and they were introduced to it. And then obviously Brock Lesnar coming into the game introduced it to another big segment. And now this move to Fox, I think, is going to be huge with they're advertising it during NFL games, and it's really going to make the sport explode. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, the tough one is a great one, because that's when the Fertittas, who own the Ultimate Fighting Championship, talked about it being almost the last straw. They invested $10 million of their own money on top of the 44 they were already down. So they were in the whole 54, and Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin go in there and bang each other up for 15 minutes, and it seemed like that's when they started their turnaround. Kimbo Slice, Brock Lesnar, James Toney, all these other guys that have come from different sports or different backgrounds, and they have brought in their share of audiences. Those would be good ones, but I'd probably still put them behind some of the other ones we discussed.
Right.
Hey, George, I want to skip over to UFC 136 real quick. This card is stacked. I want to know, what fight do you think is going to be the one that stands out, gets fight of the night out of them?
That's a tough one, because it features a lot of the lighter weight class guys, and those are the ones that are always good candidates to deliver the fight of the night. They fight everywhere. They fight on the ground. They fight on their feet. They have cardio for days, and they're very fluid. When they do go from the ground to the feet, it's they're hurting each other along the way. There's no real lulls in the moment. So if I had to pick one, well, I'm going to go with probably Maynard and Edgar, because there's already been a blueprint there with the second fight that these guys can go toe-to-toe for 25 minutes. And I just really think it's going to be a chess match, but at the same time, they're really going to be out there, trying to take each other out. Neither guy wants anything to do with the other guy for the rest of their lives. They'd really like to end it here, and so that's an easy one. But if I had to pick one other one, Leonard Garcia never disappoints, and him and Nam Pham had a barn burner a few months ago, so that would be a good one. And then there's one on Spike TV with Jeremy Stevens and Anthony Pettis, and I'm really excited about that one too.
Anthony Pettis is always fun to watch. Anyways, I got to go with Chael Sonnen and Brian Stann. How can you not love both these guys? And they're both great fighters. And Chael Sonnen is just a brawler. He brings it every time.
Yeah, I like that one too. What concerns me there is Sonnen. He's so good at taking the fight to the ground. He's a great freestyle wrestler. If he does do it, and hopefully he does, and he goes for the finish, then we could. I'm sure Sonnen fans will like that. But if he grinds out a decision, there could be some slow moments in the fight. But a lot's at stake. Looks like the winner gets a shot at Anderson Silva, and that's what I like about a lot of these fights. There's a lot riding on them. Look at Melvin Goulart. He's facing Joe Lazan. If he wins, I'm pretty sure, unless they bring over Gilbert Melendez from Strikeforce, their champion, I'm pretty sure Goulart will meet the winner of Maynard and Edgar. So a lot riding on a lot of these fights.
All right, let's break it down. Who do you have winning Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard?
I'm going to go with Gray Maynard, and it's really a close fight. I've been going back and forth on this one. I think Maynard's going to make the adjustments. There's a size difference there, and I think Maynard is really, really focused. And then what really put me over the edge was today at the weigh-ins. I thought Frankie Edgar came in a little softer than what I normally see him. Both guys delayed the fight because they had injuries, and who knows if Frankie Edgar's coming in 100%, but I have seen him a little leaner, and I thought there was a little bit of softness around the belly. Not that I'm one to talk about anybody in that department, but still, that's what swayed me to take Maynard. I like Jose Aldo to keep his title over Kenny Florian. If it does go in the later rounds, I think Kenny Florian may have a shot, but I just don't think it will. Speed kills, and Aldo's got one-punch power. So I'm taking him in that one. You guys want me to give you the other ones or stop?
Well, I want to ask you about Aldo. There's a lot of talk about his weight cutting and stuff like that. How did this weight cut go for him this time? And is he healthy? Did he look good at weigh-ins?
Yeah, the first time what happened was he went out to Holland for about 30 days, and he apparently was doing strength and conditioning and adding muscle. And I just think that he underestimated how tough it would be to cut back down to his normal size. And so that video was out, and it's been taken off the internet, but it just showed him within 2 pounds of just giving up and saying, hey, I'll just show up and take my medicine and not fight for a title. But he gutted through, and I think this time he'll make the adjustments. That was a learning experience for him. So I think you will see a strong Jose Aldo, and I think that's what factored into him gassing in the fight with Hominick. So I think he'll be fine. He already made weight, and I think he'll be fine in this fight.
All right, now, do you have Chael Sonnen beating Brian Stann?
No, that's my upset special. I think Brian Stann is going to stop Sonnen from taking him down. I think he's going to light him up with his fist. Stann hits very, very hard, and I think he's riding an all-time high in on the confidence level, and I think he's going to pull off the upset. It's too easy to take all the favorites in MMA. Anything can happen, and you have to mix in a couple underdogs, and that's one of the ones I like there.
Do you think Brian Stann has the wrestling to go down to the ground with Chael Sonnen if he takes him down? Do you think he needs to stay off the ground. He needs to get those underhooks in or sidestep them when he does come in. Frankie Edgar's really, really good at that, using his footwork, getting the underhooks, and then just pushing away or sprawling. If he does go off his back, Stan's very underrated. He's got really, really good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I don't think he'll submit Sonnen. I think Sonnen's obviously been working on that, but I just think he can prevent getting taken to the ground, and if he does, he will get back to his feet. And once he's there, I just think the advantage will be too big, and like I say, I just think he's going to connect with Sonnen and end the fight. All right, now let's jump pages again. The deal with the Jones versus Machida. What happened to the Rashad Jones fight? I know they hyped it up a lot at the UFC 135. They had Rashad there doing a Q&A at the weigh-ins, and then they brought him into the cage after the fight. What happened?
What seems to happen is that they needed a headliner for UFC 140, and they thought it could be Rashad Evans and John Jones, because at that same Q&A that you just referenced, Rashad mentioned that in 2 weeks the cast was coming off and he should be cleared, but apparently there was a setback there, and he won't be able to really spar full-time for another 3 weeks, and that would put him around the 6-week mark, and I just think Rashad, this is too big of a fight for him to not have a full training camp and not be able to go 100%. And so he decided to sit this one out, and that's when they had to come up with someone else. So they went to Lyoto Machida. He's lost 2 of his last 3, but one of them was a split decision loss to Rampage Jackson, and then since then he KO'd with the kick to the head, Daniel LaRusso style, that crane kick, Randy Couture at UFC 129. So he was kind of like their plan B, and a lot of fans are interested because he's got a difficult style himself. So I think he'll be a formidable opponent.
See, I think it'd be a good fight, but I don't know if I don't think he deserves it coming out of 2 losses out of 3 fights. Couldn't he have done something like a Shogun or even a Dan Henderson?
Well, see, they locked those 2 up, Shogun and Henderson, at UFC 139, so they would be taking apart a headline bout, a main event bout, to fulfill the next one, and I think they wanted to prevent that if at all possible. And so Machida, yeah, you're right, it is a tough sell coming off 2 out of 3 losses, but at the same time, I think it's intriguing because he's so unorthodox and he's got such a difficult style that I think people are willing to give him a chance and say, well, maybe he will give John Jones fits on the stand-up, and maybe we will get a tactical bout. So at the end of the day, the UFC had to make a decision. Apparently, they didn't want to wait for Rashad Evans, which is what I think they should have done, because this will be Jones's 4th fight in like 10 months or 11 months, and that's an active schedule for a champion, but they decided to sign the bout.
Was this John Jones' new Bentley, was that a gift from the UFC, or did he buy it himself? Was it a gift for taking this fight?
Well, the funny thing was, it was in Las Vegas is where he bought it. So, of course, there's speculation, something behind the scenes. Maybe they do take care of their champions or what. But, you hear Dana White's reactions to his purchase, and he just kind of makes it sound like, well, good for him, but it didn't sound like they had anything to do with it. It's just that's what he wanted to do. So maybe they had a good connection here in Nevada to buy it here rather than back in New York.
Well, Gorgeous George, I appreciate all the insight, man. In fact, we have a regular guest on the show that kind of gives us this type of a scoop. Jordan Breen, I want to ask you a fantasy question. Who wins in a fight out of the 2 of you?
Well, between Jordan Breen and myself?
Yeah.
He's got that spike hairdo,
Yeah.
So if he pokes one of my eyes out, then he's off to a good start. He's younger than me. He's in better shape than I am, but I do pack a good right hand. So if I connect, I'm a force for the first 45 seconds. But then after that, I start to gas.
Well, Gorgeous George, thanks again for joining us on the program. It's been great having you on the show.
Thanks for having me. Anytime.
Well, good stuff. Well, we're going to take him up on that. We're going to have him back on the show. Hey, good stuff, Joe. Robertini, you did a great job.
Thanks.
I mean, we were a little bit reluctant to steer away from our go-to guy, Jordan Breen, but this guy knew his stuff right there.
He does, and you can find him on MMA Junkie if you guys want to listen to him. He has his own little radio show. Just
I'm
a little
glad
one.
You mentioned that because we probably should have done that with him on the air still. So, all right, good stuff. And, he had some really good insight, too, as to what he felt was the big moments in MMA. And really, sanctioning is really what the big key was. And I could not agree more. I cannot tell you how excited I am to talk to Jake the Snake Paul about all the things he's got going on when we come back.